Hello and welcome to this video. Today we're going to take a deep dive on cube maps. We're going to look at what they are, how they created, and then we're going to use them to create something of our own. So firstly, what are cube maps? Well, a cube map is a kind of texture that consists of 6 individual 2D textures and that are assigned to a 3D cube. That cube then, when placed in the world, gives the appearance that there is a larger outdoor space or perhaps an interior space. But not only that, we can use cube maps in materials. Now when we use cube maps in materials, we can give the illusion that there is a virtual cube when in actual fact there isn't. And when we do that, we can create things like interiors. So if you've ever seen some games and you go up to a building and it looks as if there is some interiors in the building, in actual fact there isn't. It's most likely that it's just a cube map. Now to give you a quick example of what a cube map is and how it works, we can see these pictures here. So this is a standard cube map, and we can see that it has a top, front, left, right, and so on and so forth, and it's in this sort of cross section. Now they don't always have to look like this. Sometimes all the textures, the individual textures may be in a row, and that is what we'll be creating today when using Unreal. But you take those textures and you assign them to the faces of a cube like this, and it gives the illusion that there's this wide space here. So you can imagine that if there was a player standing in the center of this cube and looking around, it would appear as if they're in a nice outdoor area, when in actual fact they're just inside a small cube. So that's basically what a cube map is. That's the essentials of what it is. Let's sort of jump in here and get started, and we're going to create our own fake interiors. So to get started, what we need to do is we first need to start by creating a box, and we're just going to create a box, and we can give this some value, like maybe 10 by 10 by 10. And we want to make sure that the pivot point is set to the center here. So we can do that by clicking the hierarchy tab and then choosing the effect pivot only, and then choose center to object. Once we've done that, we can set the XYZ coordinates here to 0, 0, 0. Next, we want to go back to the create panel and we want to choose to create a sphere. Now we want to make sure that the sphere is pretty large. So let's say something around 10,000 centimeters I'm going to choose. It doesn't really matter, but so long as the sphere is much bigger than the cube, you should be okay. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to right click on the cube and we want to choose to convert this to an editable poly. And the reason for that is we want to now select all of the polygons by pressing the Ctrl A key, and then we want to choose the option that says flip. We want to flip the normals of this sphere inside out. Now the reason for that is because we're going to assign a spherical map to this. So I'm going to press the M key to bring up the material editor. And before we do that, actually, I'm just going to go to rendering. I'm going to choose render setup, and I'm actually going to use the legacy renderer here. So I'm going to choose scanline renderer. Just makes this a little easier to do. So I'm going to change the physical material here from the physical material to the legacy material. And here's what we want to do. Inside the diffuse, we're going to press the click on the box next to the color swatch, and we want to choose bitmap. Now I have a HDRI map that I've downloaded from Polyhaven. I'm not going to provide that material in the video because it's most likely copyright protected, but I'll leave a link in the description below where you can download a bunch of other different spherical textures. So I have this folder here that says cube maps, and I'm going to double click and open up my HDRI map. I'm going to press OK, and I want to assign this to the sphere. And if we go inside the sphere, we can see it's been assigned. Then we want to go back up and we want to set the illumination here to 100. Great, so we have our sphere set up and ready to go. Next thing is we need to select our box. So I'm going to press the H key to bring up the list of objects in the scene. I'm going to press the box 01, and then I'm going to press the Z key to zoom in here. Now we're going to assign a new material to this box. We're going to do that by clicking the physical material here, and again I'm going to choose the standard legacy material. I'm going to scroll all the way down to where it says maps, and then under the reflection we're going to choose an option that says reflect refract, just like this. Now here's what we need to do. First of all, we need to change this right here to from file, and we want to change the size of our texture output. So I'm going to choose something perhaps around 1024, and we can always scale this down later if it's a little bit too big. And I'm going to uncheck the option that says blur. The reason for that is we don't want any blur within our image. Finally, we're going to scroll all the way down, and we're going to choose this option right here that says to file. I'm going to click this, and it's going to ask us the location where we want to save this. So I'm going to call this cube, and then perhaps choose a PNG file. I'm going to press save, and we're going to assign this to the box right here. And the last step from that is to choose the option right here that says pick object and render maps. We're going to click this, and then we're going to click on the box. And Max is going to go through and it's going to render out 6 images for us. Great, so the next part is we need to open up Photoshop and start to combine these images. So let's do that. Okay, so we're here in Photoshop and I've opened up this template. So this is the template that you would get from Unreal. The difference is that I've added this left, right, back, front, up and down tag to each square because Epic doesn't really make it as easy to understand what's going on here. Now what we need to do in this pad is we need to open up those 6 images. So we're going to go to open, and we're going to open up each one of these images one by one. Now if we look what it says here, first of all we need the left, right? So we're going to open up the left one. So we look at our images here and we see we've got this one here that says LF for left. So we press open, and then we're going to press Control A to select everything, and then Control C. Then we're going to press Control V and to bring this in here. Now we may need to scale this down, so we're going to do that. Then we need to move this into place. Now we can see when we look at number 1 here, which is left, that it's sort of been rotated 90 degrees to the left. So we need to do that here also. We need to press Control T to bring up the transformation. I'm going to hold down the Shift key and then click, and it's going to allow me to move this to the corner. Now you can see that Unreal has a slightly off shape to this, so we need to press Control T again and bring this into position. Once we've done that for each and every one, we will have completed this step. So I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to do this off camera and then I'll come back once it has been completed. Okay, so now we're back. You can see that I've placed all the images in the correct order. The next thing we need to do is to go to File, Save As, and we want to make sure to use the option right here that says DDS. If you do not have this option, what you need to do is you need to go to NVIDIA's website and you need to make sure to download and install the texturing tools for Photoshop. So I already have one here already saved, so I'm going to save this again. And here are the options. You need to make sure that you're using this 8888 RGB 32-bit uncompressed. We need to make sure that the option here is set to cubemap, and then we can press save. Okay, so now that we have exported our textures from Photoshop, it's time to create our material in Unreal. To begin with, I have this simple scene that I've set up and created here. Now, to create the material, we're going to press the Control and Spacebar button, which is going to open up the content browser. We're going to right click and we're going to choose the option that says Import, and we're going to import the texture that we created, so the cubemap_A. Then we're going to right click again and we're going to create a new material. I'm going to call this M_fake interior. We can open up the material, and I'm going to press the Control and Spacebar button again to click and drag in our texture. I'm going to click and drag this output here into the emissive for this particular demonstration. Then you see it's going to give us this error, and the error is because it has no UV mapping, right? Remember that our texture here is a cube map, so it needs to know where each section or each image needs to go. The way to resolve this issue is to bring in what's called an interior cube map. And we can bring this in over here. And as we can see, we now have these small virtual rooms. Now we can change the scale of these rooms by putting in a parameter in the tiling. So I'm going to press and hold the 1 key and left click. This is going to allow me to create a parameter. I'm going to right click on this and convert it to a parameter that we can then edit later. So let's call this scale. Let me call this room scale. I'm going to set the default value to 1. I'm going to click and drag the output pin here into the tiling. And as you can see, it's done that, and our tiling has become much bigger. I'm going to press the save button. I'm going to save our material. And then I'm going to close this. I'm going to create an instance. So right click and create a material instance. And just do something like this. Now we need to fill the windows in. So we're going to go to the place actor. And we want to choose the shapes. I'm going to choose plane. I'm going to click and drag in a plane. And then I'm going to simply rotate this plane and place it where the window should be. Let's scale this up. And we can click and drag and put our window here, our material in the window, push this back a little, and then push this up. Again, we want to scale this up like so, and just like that you can see that now we have an interior. So we may want to scale this to something that we may like, something like this, and we can duplicate these along. Now you may want to change the scale here, and we can do that either in the material, or we can just scale the plane. It sort of depends on what you're trying to do. And I'm going to bring this final one all the way down and across, and we're just going to use the same one here over and over. Now as you can see, as we move around, it looks like we actually have some interiors. Now we can open up our material instance, as I said, and we can sort of play around with the scaling here if we wanted something a little better. But yeah, I think something like this is okay. And so just like that, you can see that now we have created these fake interiors. And if I was to press play and was to jump into game and to move around, you can see that it actually looks like there are interiors inside our building. So that's the basics of how we can use cube maps to create these fake interiors. Perhaps in later videos we'll talk about how we can add to this, maybe control the scaling a little bit. We can add things like window blinds and things like that. But for now, I just want to show you the very basics of what a cube map is and how we can use it. With all that being said, I would also like to inform you that I've also created a Patreon. So from now on, I'm going to be uploading videos at least once every week or two. And if you want to support this channel, you can go over there and you can subscribe to the Patreon. In doing so, you let me know that you like the content, and any of the material that you see in these videos today. So for example, these cube maps and this model of the brick wall here will be available for you to download and use on the Patreon too, as well as be able to communicate with me directly, and hopefully we can solve any problems that you have, and so on and so forth. So with that being said, if you'd like to support me, feel free to do that. If you don't and you just want the material, that's also okay by me. But until the next time, Thank you for watching, and bye bye.